My name is Marek Olszewski, and once again, we're going to be talking about Celo's transition from an L1 to an L2. You've probably heard that we're making this big transition, and we really hope that we can become a case study for other L1s to follow suit. And so today will be a talk really targeting those other L1s with our learnings. And I tried to make this fun for you all, so I made this in the style of Zelda. Any Zelda players in the audience? Cool, we got a few hands up, great. Well, hopefully you'll enjoy the slides. And so what does Celo's transition to an L2 look like? It looks like us taking our EVM core, which is shown here as kind of our little protagonist, and all of the nice additional features that we've built into the Celo blockchain, like the ability to pay for gas with tokens, like the ability to send value to phone numbers, and of course, ultra green money, this mechanism that offsets all of the carbon that the network produces every time we transact. And we've taken all of this and we've repackaged it into an OP stack base L2 that's sitting on top of Ethereum. And so once again, we really hope that this transition that we're going through can be a really nice case study for other L1s to potentially follow suit as well. And this talk is really almost a map, you could say, of 5 learnings from our journey that these other L1s can learn from. Okay, so learning number 1. First learning is if you're going to do this transition, you should do it as a hard fork. When many people think about doing this transition, they immediately think, okay, this is the way to do it, right? Let's just launch a second L2 chain and then we can have our users figure out how to migrate from the L1 to the L2. And this is, maybe appealing because it's not much work to do, but it's a lot of work for the end users and for developers building on these chains. And so this is not what we're doing. Instead, we're actually hard forking to become an L2 network at a certain block height, where before that block height, the network will be progressing as an L1. And then after that block height, the network will change to a new client that will then run as an actual L2. And we've learned over this period where we've been building this out that this is in fact quite difficult. We like to say that this is actually more than just a hard fork. It's actually a hard fork, 2 rocks and a fork. And it's hard for all of the obvious reasons, right? Like the metaphor of rebuilding a plane while it's flying at cruising altitude, I think is very apt. We're literally moving the engines back and forth, rebuilding the plane while it's in the air. And, the advantage of this is that in the end, only full nodes really need to do any work around this migration. Only they need to actually upgrade and participate in this transition. Your end users and developers building on top of the chain, they don't have to do any work, right? All of this is transparent for them. Really only the full nodes have to do that work. And again, the people who are running these full nodes, they're technical, they have experience with hard forks. This is not something that's too complicated for them. They can handle that. So on to learning number 2. Learning number 2 is to use an existing L2 stack. We thought early on, hey, why don't we build our own L2 stack? Let's just upgrade our existing client into a new L2 stack. But we didn't want to increase the number of L2 stacks that exist in Ethereum. There's already a lot out there. It's a lot of fragmentation that this is causing. And we concluded that it's actually better to just pick an existing stack. And so we ended up choosing OP stack and EigenDA for data availability. Of course, we would recommend that you do your own due diligence and figure out which stack is best for you. But certainly, I think picking an existing stack, not introducing more fragmentation, I think is the way to go. This, of course, means that we're effectively switching clients at the time of the upgrade. So there will be an L1 client that's running today and an L2 client that will be running after the hard fork. And this, again, means that there's a little bit more complexity around this hard fork, right? Full node operators will have to actually shut down one client and start a new client. And this, again, adds to the hardness of this hard fork. But again, we think it's worth it. There's a bit of additional complexity for archive node operators because archive nodes, of course, should be able to respond to queries about all blocks and all data from the whole history. And so archive node operators will actually have to run two clients that are connected to each other so that they can respond in unison to RPC requests across all time periods. Okay, on to learning number 3. This is related to the last one. When you have a new client, you run into the situation where the new client has to somehow be able to interpret the chain data from the first client. And you can either modify the new client to be able to do that, or you can migrate your chain data so that it fits a format that the new client can understand. And we think that this is the way to go. And so that's exactly what we're doing. At the point of the hard fork, we're going to be running a chain data migration script that repackages the data in a way that's compatible with the new client. And this dramatically simplifies a lot of work. The new client doesn't have to be rewritten to understand the chain data of the old client. Okay, learning number 4, embrace Ethereum. So after we announced that we wanted to make this migration, there were a few other L1 chains that also made similar announcements. But if you looked a little closer, it was clear that they were not really embracing this idea of settling on Ethereum, becoming a true L2. Instead, they were talking about canonical bridges and things that looked a little bit more like halfway towards actually creating an L2. And so our advice for these folks is just take the leap of faith, embrace Ethereum. I think your communities are going to be excited, and the Ethereum community has been really welcoming of us, and we don't think that you're going to regret it. Related to this, I think you might have some differences from Ethereum in your protocol, and our advice here is to really distill those differences down to a patch queue on top of Geth. Okay, the final learning number 5, is to rethink where your token lives. This was a big one for us. As an L2, you have the choice to actually have a token that lives on Ethereum in addition to the L2. And so that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be deploying a new token on Ethereum with the max supply. And then we're going to put the entire supply of that token into the native bridge so that it's there already in escrow, backing, in effect, all of the tokens that exist on the L2. And so this is a really interesting design. We think that it's one that others should follow. And we're really excited about it. Okay, so final thoughts. If you are thinking about transitioning to an L2, then our recommendation for you is just do it. You're not going to regret it. Take the leap of faith. We did, and we're really thrilled about it. We highly recommend doing the same. And if you want to follow our progress, we have one more testnet that we're going to be upgrading next month. And then at the beginning of next year, mid-January, we'll be hopefully upgrading our mainnet if everything goes well with that testnet upgrade. And so, yeah, mainnet is coming, and we hope you'll be excited for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marek. If you have questions for Marek, please find him beside the stage. Thank you a lot.